Do you have a response?
Um, I think that, like it's been said before, I think that the bathroom situation is different in every place. And, I think that this sort of, like I said, this legislation is sort of assuming that all transgender people, or that people who would be going into these bathrooms, are for some reason using it for malicious intent. Whereas I think most people, the majority of the population, just have to use the restroom. And there are people in the world, unfortunately, that have malicious intent, and regardless of how they identify with their gender, or which bathroom they're using, like it's been said before, most people are going to act upon that without. Um, I would definitely agree with that, and I definitely don't know necessarily what any sort of religious text would be saying about what would be the most holy choice of bathroom for everyone to use. But I don't. I'm also curious to know how people would be, figuring out what's going on in the bathroom, unless there's somebody like IDing everyone to come in the door. Or, and I guess what this is going to kind of come down to is, if this legislation is passed, it's going to give somebody the ability to, if they perceive someone as transgender, whether they are or not, they could potentially report that. And if the person's, license does not necessarily match up to what's on the door, then that person could be penalized and put in prison, which is an unfortunate situation, because transgender people are already facing high rates of unemployment, and are oftentimes, wrongfully incarcerated, which leads to even more situations where, the gender segregation as it goes on in the, yes. Um, there's an exemption in the bill, in which if somebody is differently abled, if they need assistance to use the restroom, I think that that exemption applies. I personally, obviously, I think it's ridiculous. I think that there's a lot of opinions across the board, but I think that it's very misguided, at the very least, and at the most, I think it's going to just result in a huge negative situation for gender nonconforming people.
Diane, thanks so much. I appreciate your call, and we're going to move on right now. We have another text that said, "What a waste of government time and money," and the text goes on, but I think it captures a lot of what Diane just said there. And Jim writes in. He says, "Can't we do it like the don't ask, don't tell we had in the military? I can't believe that today's society is making an issue. I mean, really, are the conservatives who are pushing for this going to create a bathroom policing agency We also got a text from 813. In quick response to your guest's questioning of the defense of marriage, caller, I'd just be fine with an attractive transgender woman in my male bathroom as long as she behaves herself, is what this person says. And then all right, and I'm going to go on to another caller, and we have Sean in St. Pete. Sean, can you make it quick, please? Yeah, please go ahead. Thank you for that question. Let's listen and see what Gianna says.
Well, definitely, I think that the presence of intersex people is often overlooked. And I think that the conservative efforts to kind of segregate the bathrooms to male and female and make sure that this is policed and enforced doesn't necessarily take even into consideration the concept of intersex people who are sort of saying that, you know, there is only male and only female as it's been created, either religiously or even scientifically, biologically. They don't take into fact that there is a wide variety of chromosomal manifestations in human beings that do not neatly fit the categories of male and female. One could argue that transgender people are also a manifestation of that, but I think that the important thing is that people should be mindful and be aware of the presence of intersex and transgender people.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Gianna.
Thank you. I just wanted to add one more quick thing. If anybody is by chance in a place where they don't know a safe place to use the restroom, there's a great website called refugerestrooms.org. Again, that's refuge, REFUGE, restrooms.org. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And if you'd like to leave a message at 813-238-8001, I'll play your comment on the air. This is WMNF Tampa. Stay tuned for Flea, and it's the music. Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Sacred vows of marriage.
Oh, I know. What was that all about?